I recently gave my hobby area and studio a much needed makeover. I'm enjoying being in this space a lot more than I was before, but I'm still wanting to add a few fun bits and pieces around the set. Well, today, we're going to make our very own Dawn of War book nook. We'll get started after this. Pickle jar! Pickle jar! Miniatures! Excellent! Hello and welcome to the Pickle Jar. My name's Josh, and today we're going to be having a go at making something a little bit different. Now, when a friend mentioned book nooks to me, I had no idea what it was, but after they explained it, I realised I'd actually seen a fair few videos on YouTube recently of people making them. If you, like me, are unsure what exactly a book nook is, it's essentially an enclosed diorama that sits on your bookcase in between books. Typically, people make these to represent a location or a scene from their favourite book, and they deck them out with lights and things like that to add a little bit of interest. Now, I'm not exactly known for my terrain making, but I have dabbled in a little bit of diorama building before. As this is a miniature painting channel, I decided to make my own book nook that would show off an iconic scene, though not one from a book. Note, the scene that I'm recreating is the end of the cinematic intro for the original Dawn of War game. If you're unsure what that is exactly, it sees a group of Blood Ravens in battle with a group of Orcs, ending with the last member of the Blood Raven squad falling while planting the flag at the top of the hill. Quite an epic scene to fit into such a small space, but we'll have a go. I decided that first things first, I'd better get myself a downed marine. Now, I'm not the best at kit bashing, having only ever done minor conversions in the past, but I was confident that I could manage to do this. I dug through my sprue box, looking for a few select parts that I'd need. Now, I managed to source some old marines, a bald head and a flag for him to hold, and I got to work putting them all together. I did and ah about adding multiple models to the base, but decided to just leave it as the one because I liked the idea of the lone fallen soldier on the hill. I'm sure that there are better ways to do a lot of the things that I did while building this guy, but as I said, I'm not exactly an expert on kit bashing. I was going at this very haphazardly, but in the end, I think that the model actually came out looking okay. Most of him will be obscured in the final build anyway, but the important details like the flag and the helmetless head were there, so I was happy. With the marine built, he now needed a hill to die on. Once again, terrain building is just a little bit outside of my comfort area, but I feel like I've watched enough crafting and terrain channels now to have at least a rough idea of what I'm doing. I grabbed some thick cork from IKEA and got to work building up smaller and smaller layers. Once I was happy enough with the angle and the height of this, I glued them together using super glue. To turn this into a slope rather than the uneven rocky steps that it currently resembled, I used some of the modelling compound from Geek Gaming Scenics. I got this a while back for a project that has sadly had to take a bit of a back seat, but at least I'm getting to have a go with it now. Now, I think I may have made this slightly too wet, but it went on easy enough and it didn't take too long to dry. I grabbed some cheap paints and mixed up a dark brown colour to apply as a base layer over this, even though the majority of it will be covered up with basic material in a later step. I put all this to one side to dry off and decided to start sourcing some other parts of the project. For the box itself, I'm using an old box set of books that I found lying around that the books aren't actually in anymore. You can buy kits to make your own book nooks, but being from Yorkshire, I like to try and save money as much as I can. I sprayed the inside black using the Halfords matte black that I've been using recently, and then moved on to sorting out some lighting. For this, I'm using some cheap electric tea lights. Now, these are a nice warm colour and they also flicker, which in this scene is going to emulate flame and gunfire. Now, they'd look pretty naff just by themselves, so let's spruce them up a little bit. To do this, I took some cotton wool and, using a hot glue gun, wrapped it around the side of the tea light until I had a small cotton wool cone. Now, you can do this to use as terrain and stuff for battlefields, and it does look pretty cool. Once the glue taken hold, you can pull up gently to add some variation and height to the plumes. Give them a very light spray with a black, and these look like very decent smoke plumes. Now I wanted to be able to turn these on and off without having to dismantle the entire box. So I cut a couple of holes in the bottom of the box and then lined up the switches. Now I could have done some sort of fancy cover or something to go over here, but it's on the bottom of the box and it's not going to be seen, so I left it as it is. The Marine in the cinematic is a Blood Raven, which I was looking forward to painting as I do love painting red. I think we all have our preferred colours to paint with. For me, there's nothing quite as good as painting a red cape, but red armour is a very close second. If you'd like to see me paint up some very, very nice red armour, then there's a link in the top right hand corner right about now. Make sure you go and check that after you finish this video. The Marine was nice and easy to paint up, especially considering that most of him would be out of view as he was going to be face down in the dirt. I even had a go at doing a little bit of freehand on the banner. Now, it's not the best by a long shot, but I'm happy enough with it and you can tell what it is. While I was in a miniature painting mood, I also took some random bits of Space Marine and Orc kits and painted these up to use as debris and casualties on the hill, just to add a little bit more interest. Speaking of the hill, I went back to what I'd built earlier and decided to add some of the Grimdark City rubble material, again from Geek Gaming Scenics. If you're looking to add some really cool basic material to your shopping list, I can't recommend this stuff enough. Now I covered over some of the debris that I'd added as well, just to help blend those into the scene rather than sticking them on top. Once this was all on, I stuck the Marine in place using a pin and a drop of super glue and then put the whole thing together in the box. With all this in place, I decided it needed a little bit more light from the front, so I decided to add a third light above, just to add a little more light on the Marine himself. I simply cut a hole and put the candle part of the tea light through, leaving the rest on top of the box for access to the switch. For the frame on the front, Wendy cut it out of some foam card stuff and then painted a gold aquila to decorate the space at the top. I wanted more space up at the top just to hide the candle that was behind it. With everything glued in place and set, the project was finished. Now, I've had a lot of fun making this and I've learned a few things along the way. It's not the most intricate of designs, but I quite like the simplicity of it. The lone Marine dying on a hill in a far off war zone, silhouetted against the smoke and debris of the surrounding conflict. Plus, it looks pretty nice in between the books on my shelf. So there you go guys, what do you think to the end result? Be sure to let me know down below in the comments. If you liked the video, then be sure to leave us a like down below, and if you want to help support the channel, then we have a few affiliate links down below in the description, along with one for our channel sponsor, Broken Turd. I live stream here on the Pickle Jar every Wednesday evening from 8 PM, so if you're doing your own hobby, or if you just want to pop along and say hi, then be sure to join in with the chat. Otherwise, we have a Discord server, link for that down below, and we can all be found there most of the time. Finally, I'd like to say a massive thank you to all our current channel members. Pretzel, Andy Allen, Chaotic Painting, The Immersive World Crafter, The Hobby Corner, Frost and Fists, Caring Commissar, Amy Root, Ravensrook Miniatures, Mugwump, Big Mac Danskull, and Ybird. You guys are amazing and the support is massively appreciated, so thank you very much. If you'd like to become a member yourself, simply click the join link down below. That's all from me, and I'll see you next week with another video.